All right, Lane, you ready?
Yep.
First Howdy Radio episode in 5 years.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Are you excited?
Yeah, this will be my first Howdy Radio.
Are you nervous?
Yes.
I am too. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Howdy Radio, the next generation. We're finally back. I am Brandon.
I am Lane.
And we are your host for this new version of Howdy Radio. Instead of me and a bunch of drunken friends talking for 3 hours, we're going to change it around a little bit, where me and Lane are going to come up with just kind of topics that we're interested in and that we like to talk about. Lane's got some good ideas. Are you excited about this, Lane?
I'm very excited.
All week long, Lane's been like, all right, when are we doing the podcast? When are we recording and everything? And I was like, dude, we'll get to it this weekend. So he's been bugging me to death. So at least that means he's excited. So that's cool.
I'm very excited.
So you have been doing a lot of stuff similar to this.
Yes, I have.
And that's kind of what got us here. What have you been doing so far? What kind of stuff like this have you been doing?
I have been live streaming on YouTube a lot every week. And I also have guests, just like how this is gonna be. And
so what kind of stuff are you streaming on YouTube, though? Be specific. Tell them what kind of stuff you like doing.
Well, we really just like talk a lot when I'm live streaming and that kind of thing. Like, we really just have a conversation about like how our week has been going, or like news, like technology news and that kind of stuff.
But you do this by talking to people on Xbox Live, right?
Yes, I do.
So explain that to the people. So it's you and your friends on Xbox, and you play the games, but while you're playing the games, you're kind of making a show out of it as well.
Yeah, so I also do stream on Twitch, which is a little bit more confusing than YouTube. So I just did a live stream of Overwatch with some of my friends, and we just did all kinds of things, and we just had conversations and just talked while we played really cool video games.
Right on. So we'll make sure that we tell all of our new listeners to check out all of the other stuff that you're doing as well.
Yep.
So we're going to do, this is kind of what we're going to do. We're going to probably end up talking about video games a lot, because that's something that the two of us have in common. Of course, there'll be music that I want to talk about, and we've got some cool ideas. We're going to have a special guest on every episode. We're going to break the show down into just different segments of what we're talking about. And one of the segments every week will be a special guest. So today's special guest is my wife, Lane's mom, Mrs. Howdy, Liz. She'll be on the show later on. And she was there for, obviously, everything Howdy Inc. she was there for, but she was on the very first episode of Howdy Radio that we did. So we figured that it would make the most sense to have her as the first guest. So then we're going to have, as the weeks go by, we're going to do this every week. We're hoping to do this every week. And different special guests, we'll get some people from the old Howdy Inc. days, and then we'll also get some of Lane's friends on the episodes, family members, aunts, uncles, pets, who knows. We'll get all kinds of cool stuff going, and we'll, the special guest person always gets to decide what we're going to talk about on that segment too, so we'll come up with some stories that we're going to talk about, like we've got some good ones lined up for today, but the special guest will always get to talk about whatever they want to talk about, so who knows what that might be. So I'm very excited. I'm finally podcasting again. I didn't realize that it had really been like 5 years since the last Howdy Radio happened. That seems crazy to me that it has already been 5 years. But I've been wanting to get back into it for a long time, and I never really could think of a great idea, and I didn't want to just keep doing the same thing that we had done before. But then Lane started getting into all of this kind of stuff, and I had to teach him like how to do things on iMovie or how to do this with the computer, and it made me kind of miss doing all that stuff by recording a podcast. So I figured, well, now that Lane is showing interest in this, what better way to bring back Howdy Radio, change it around a little bit, and me and him do it together. I think it's a cool idea, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
All right, let's get into it. Howdy Radio, the next generation. The first topic today is that Microsoft announced the Xbox Game Pass.
And what is that?
The Xbox Game Pass is kind of like Netflix, but for video games. So you get there are multiple games. They're kind of like washed away kind of games, not like it just came out and you get a discount. It's so it really is like Netflix. And there are games like Lego Batman 3, Fable 3, like those kind of games that you can get for like a certain amount of time and download them. But at one point, yes, they will be taken off. And you also...
Just like Netflix.
Yes, just like Netflix. This is just Netflix, but for video gamers.
Alright, so it's not... Microsoft isn't the first one to do this. PlayStation has been around for a while, but theirs is a streaming service as to where for the Xbox it's going to be actually downloading it and playing it off of your own hard drive, which I think sounds a million times better because I've heard a lot of really bad things about the streaming on the PlayStation Now. So I would much rather be able to just download and play it off of my hard drive. So it's $10 a month, right?
Yes, $10.95.
$10.95. So
yes.
So it's $11 a month. And they say that there's going to be up to 100 games that are Xbox One games and Xbox 360 games that are backwards compatible.
Backwards compatible.
Which is cool. I think that's a huge thing that Xbox has over PlayStation is their backwards compatibility. There's still a ton of good Xbox 360 games that are still really fun to play. So it's cool that you can still play them with something like this. So what about you? You, of course, want it.
Yes. As you say, I want everything, but...
we have a humongous library of games as it is right now.
We have over 110 games.
We have over 110 games installed. Most of them are trash. They need to just go away. They're the crappy games that they give you for the games with gold and stuff like that. So we've got plenty of games that we could delete. But, I mean, it is a very cool idea. I feel like, especially for somebody not like us that doesn't already have a huge library, I mean, you could think about it as to where, like, you could buy an Xbox and you could pay for EA access every month.
That's what we do.
And you could pay for the Xbox Game Pass every month. And you wouldn't have the newest games, like Lane said, but you would have more games than you would ever have time to play with just those two services. And that would cost you about $15 a month for both of those things. And that's pretty cool to have that huge of a selection of games for that much money. So we've done EA Access for a long time. And that's one of my favorite things we have on the Xbox. I think that's just a genius idea. So hopefully the Xbox Game Pass will work the same way. Now, I read somebody posted on Reddit the other day that's a part of the beta of it, and they've already started like taking some games off and putting new games on, I guess just trying to see how it all works out and stuff.
With the Xbox Insiders program, those people that he was talking about.
Yeah. And so this guy said that they took off, Halo 5 was one that they took off the other day, a couple other ones I can't remember, but then now they've added all of the BioShock games, and which, I mean, that's one of those things too where like, you know, we've had an Xbox for a long enough time now to where we've gone through a lot of games with gold. And like most of those, it seems like a lot of the games that are included in this Game Pass, at some point they've been offered for free for the games with gold. Like the BioShock games, like they've gave all that stuff away before. And
but you only had a month to get them now.
Correct, yeah. Not everybody has them. Yeah, definitely. I got you. I think it's a very cool idea. I like the concept a lot. But I think... God, I don't know that we need it, is all I'm saying. But of course, Lane wants it. Lane has to have every single game that there is, which is not very doable when they're $60 a piece. But
it's only $10. It's only $10.95 a month.
How many different services do we pay for a month now because they're only $10 a month? Spotify, WWE Network, Netflix, all those stupid things. No, we use all of them for the most part.
We use all of them.
But they're killing me with all of these, oh, it's just another $10 a month thing. And like, well, now this is our 9th $10 a month thing that we pay every month for. And I'm
Next month, it'll be
broke.
$50.
I'm broke because of it all. But I do think it's a really cool idea. And I think this was also something I read on Reddit. But how cool would it be, too, like if when you buy a new Xbox, they usually give you like those couple months of live for free.
Yeah.
How cool would it be if they included like a month or two of the Game Pass as well? Because then you would have a ton of games to play. Because that's the thing that sucks when you buy a new system is you have no library at that point. Yeah. And like you have the one or two games that you could afford to buy with the console. But sometimes you want to play more than just that right when you buy the console. So at least with something like this, like now you've got access to 100 games right off the bat if you pay for this. So I think that's really cool.
Because like when we got our Xbox, we had the Master Chief Edition of Halo.
That came with our Xbox.
Yeah, that came with our Xbox. But that's still like a 90 gig game. So it takes a while to download. And then we had to get like a couple free games, which still took a little bit to download.
Yeah,
so
and the free games sucked.
Yeah, the free
So,
games.
I mean, I would have, when I bought my Xbox One, I would have loved to have had something like the Game Pass because I would have had a ton of different things to choose from. So I think it's cool. I think Microsoft's done a good job. I think they're coming up with some really cool ideas to make the Xbox One sell better, and I think it has been recently as well.
I think that's why they're doing it.
Yeah,
so then they can get some more sales with it.
Well, of course. That's
how Microsoft works.
That's how every company works. That's what they're there for, is to make money. But I think it's a very cool idea, and I'm sure we'll end up trying it out, and I'm sure that my wife will not love the idea of it. But
like always.
She knew what she was getting into.
Yeah.
Oh, well. All right, so great idea.
Yes.
Good job, Microsoft. Once it comes out and we're actually able to get it, then we'll do a little review and tell everybody how much we like it or hate it.
It is supposed to come out this fall to all the console players.
Yeah, I think they've got a dashboard update that'll come this fall.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
And it'll probably be included in that. So the big takeaway for me is that it's downloadable, that it is not streaming the way that PlayStation's is. I think that's a huge plus, and I think that will make this much more successful for them than PlayStation Now has done for Sony because of theirs being streaming. So good job, Microsoft.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about some music. I can't do a podcast without talking about music. It can't be my podcast and we not talk about music. Yes. That would not be okay. So, but the cool thing that happened this week was that the Gorillaz, which is a band that I have loved for a very long time, and Lane has got into them recently as well, so we're both big Gorilla nuts at this point. I said gorilla nuts on the radio. So, but they announced, we've been waiting for them to announce a new album, which they still haven't done, so that's not what this news is.
They did, though.
No,
they said that they were done, though.
Well, they said that...
They said that they were done.
But they haven't announced the album. There has been no album announcement. They released a new song like a month or two ago on Inauguration Day, and it was an awful song, which scares me a little bit because now I'm worried, what if the next album sucks?
Yeah.
So, because it was a really terrible song. But, whatever. I'm sure the new album will be awesome. I have no doubt in my mind that it'll be an awesome album. But this week, they announced Demon Days is what they're calling it. It's their own festival that they're putting on, and it's sold out in no time. They have not a week.
Not even a week.
No, I think it was within the day or two it sold out. I don't know how big the place is. I don't know where it's at that they're doing it. Like, it's not the size of, like, Glastonbury, and they sold that out in a day. It's not like that. But it should be awesome. They haven't announced any of the other artists that are going to be there, but with it being their own festival, I'm sure they'll get some pretty cool people to play with them, and I'm sure they'll have a ton of special guests that come up and do songs with them as well. So hopefully they stream it, or hopefully they make a DVD out of it or something, because it sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome. So, but that's their first. They're kind of like Howdy Radio. That is their first performance, their first live performance in about 5 years.
Yeah.
Just like us.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since they've done something, so we are very much awaiting their new album. But I think the festival is really cool, so we'll have to keep up on that and see what bands get added to it. I wish we could go.
It's not going to be in Cincinnati.
No, it is definitely not in Cincinnati.
Isn't it in London?
I think it's in London, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is. But that'll be really cool. I really wish we could go, but oh well. We'll just have to read about it on the internet and watch 10-second clips on Instagram, and that'll have to do it for us. Maybe somebody will Periscope it. That would be best. I'm sure somebody will, yeah. So that's really about it for our music news, other than another album, or an album that did get announced this week was the new Afghan Wigs album. Lane, do you like the Afghan Wigs? Do you know who the Afghan Wigs are?
I know who the Afghan Wigs are.
Like, you know what songs they sing?
I'm pretty sure.
Because, I mean, I got you where I want you, mother. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know the Afghan Wigs. Yes. They've been one of my favorite bands since I was, like, 11 years old. And they were gone for a very long time. And then they finally made a comeback and made a new album a couple years ago. It was, like, their first album in, like, almost, I don't know, like 15 or 16 years or something like that. And then now they got another new one coming out, and I am just super, super excited. The cover artwork is awesome. It's called In Spades. It comes out in May. I'm already going on record saying it'll probably be the album of the year, would be my guess. But we'll see.
That for every record.
There's a lot of good albums, man. There's a lot of good music coming out right now, but Afghan Wigs is gonna be awesome. And then hopefully they tour, and then they come to Cincinnati, and I'll go see them a few more times.
Yes.
All right, so that's it. That's your music news for this week. All right, and now it is time for my favorite part of the show, our special guest segment. Lane, who we got today?
We have Mrs. Howdy, also known as Liz Wiley, or just Miss Howdy. Say hi.
Hi.
Liz is our very first special guest on the new show because when we started the show up originally, the first episode of Howdy Radio was me and Liz and Dave, and I think she was on basically every episode that we ever did. Probably not all of them, but probably close to all of them. There was times where we'd like do random episodes like 2 o'clock in the morning, then you were already in bed or something.
Yeah, there were times where we would be doing a show, and then the regular people, like myself, would be done, and we would go to bed. And then the rest of you would be like, oh, let's do another one. And then I don't think I was on any of those.
Another 3-hour show.
Yeah.
And 20 more beers.
Right.
So, but it's a little different now. The way we're doing it is a little bit different. So now
there's less beer.
There's a lot less beer. There's no beer.
Exactly.
I'm doing Howdy Radio with no beer. I have generic Mountain Dew in my Yeti cup for this show. I sold out. That sucks. Alright, so the special guest of the show gets to pick the topic that we talk about. And Liz, what have you decided that we're going to discuss today?
I'd like to talk about the history of Howdy Radio and the old show and how it was and how it went, and kind of embark our knowledge on the younger generation so that as you guys move forward,
one person,
you can take it back to that level.
Yeah. All right. So then, tell us how it started.
Oh gosh, I don't know that I know all the history. I just wanted to talk about the history. No, it was like we had done some like video stuff before. Those were the Howdy shows, and those were like little variety shows, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like it was little clips of different things. Tyler was in a couple of them. We did,
but Lane never was, right? Lane never did anything Howdy Inc, correct?
No, because we'd switched to Howdy Radio after Lane was born. We didn't do any Howdy shows after Lane was born. But we were still doing Howdy Radios after Lane was born. But of course he was really little, and it was always late at night. Like after they were in bed, or they were
late night Friday night.
Yeah.
That's usually what we did.
Or they were with my sisters, or something like that.
There was one time I remember. We were in this house. I don't remember when, but you guys were doing something, and I was in my room, and I woke up, and I came out, and I saw you and Mama like talking, and then you guys saw me, and you were like, nope, get out of here. And I was like coming in, and I'm like, what are you guys even doing? I was so confused.
But we were doing Howdy Radio?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
We were probably talking about something that was highly inappropriate,
probably.
Would be my guess. So we're like, nope, get out of here.
No, this is not appropriate for children.
Yep.
Yeah.
This will be the first podcast that I run that doesn't get the little explicit sign next to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
We're going for no cussing.
No. Okay.
Completely family friendly is
Okay.
what we're trying. So don't screw that up.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely be the one who would screw that up. I never was able to make it through a Howdy Radio in the past. However, again, I'm drinking Diet Coke, so
Not off-brand?
no, no, it is. It's UDF brand.
Wow.
Diet Coke.
We have all sold out.
Does that mean we sold out, or does that mean we're just poor?
What are the two?
We're broke sellouts. That's
Yeah,
us.
broke sellouts.
So we started with the Howdy Show.
So we started with the Howdy Show.
There was basically a YouTube show pre-YouTube.
Yes.
I've always said, like, a lot of the stuff that we did with Howdy Inc. was, like, it was all right before it became really easy to do all of that kind of stuff.
That's the other part
Because
of it.
YouTube made it so easy. Like, I remember when we did the first couple of Howdy shows, there were video files, and there were larger video files, and I didn't know where to host them to be able to make it to where people can click play to play it, because YouTube wasn't a thing. I had to have code to embed a video player into the website and stuff. It would have been so much easier if YouTube would have been
sure.
out. But then we switched to Howdy Radio, and it was the
switched to Howdy
same way.
Radio because when we did the Howdy shows, we were living in Columbus. And so the people that we did Howdy shows with were there all together with us at that time. And so when we switched to Howdy Radio, we switched to it originally because it was too difficult to be able to do video during that on two different sources. Like for Kyle to be able to come in and do video from Columbus, it was difficult. So we switched to Howdy Radio because it was all audio, and so we didn't have to worry about any
then
video.
we switched to the live streaming and all that stuff, and again, before it was popular to do so. Like now everybody live streams and does all that stuff.
I mean, there were times when we were doing Howdy Radio that, you know, when Lane does streams now and we watch, and it's just like literally Lane sitting on the computer and him talking to whoever he wants to talk to.
We had to like run wires and do tests. And
right. Like there were
I
times
had like
on
3 computers running at one time.
Fridays during the day were like the most stressful time because we would go live on Friday nights, and we tested it probably 15 times during the day on Friday before it was time again. And so the technical thing
and then
was,
10 p.m. hit and we went live and it all just crashed.
Right.
Every week.
Every single week. So that was a major difference.
And that is one reason why this is just an old-fashioned audio podcast. Because it's just so much easier to just hit record and be done instead of having to worry about all the other stuff.
Well, then you can focus on the things that you want to talk about and don't have to worry so much about all the technical stuff that
Although that might be
along
something we add later. We might do live streams of it or something.
Well, and it'll be easier, I think, to do live streams now than it was back then.
It will be. It'll be much easier. So, that puts us to where we are now. We're back, and you're our first special guest, and we're glad to have you. Anything else that you want to talk about, or was that kind of it?
No, I think it was kind of cool.
Or did we finish what we were talking about?
I just think it was kind of cool to see it all go full circle.
Yeah.
You know, when we first started with Howdy Inc. in general, we talked, you know, one of the first Howdy shows included the kids. Like, Tyler was in them, and then it kind of went away from that, and it became more adult content.
Yeah.
And then, which is funny because we were such kids still at that point. Like, we were looking for adult content, but, like, we were still so young. Yeah. But now it's kind of...
I mean, the Howdy Radio, like, in the old days, like, when we had probably 10 different people sit in our living room doing the episodes, like, it rivaled, like, Howard Stern as far as...
Oh, absolutely.
Like, the raunchiness of
absolutely.
it and stuff.
But I think it's cool that it's come back around full circle. You know, we've kind of grown up, and so I feel like Howdy Inc. is growing up as well and kind of ushering in
I'm glad it's back.
A new group of, you know, a new generation of people coming through,
and finally I'm able to be in it.
Right.
Finally. Yep. I'm not sent back into my room.
Yes. Now you are included in the conversation.
Yes.
Now we'll send other people back to their room like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, you can say that.
Yeah. I can say.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for being our first guest.
Thanks for having me.
It makes sense for you to be the first one, of course. And it's a lot cheaper this time, though. We don't have to spend a bunch of money, and Liz was always, she always hated how much money we'd spend on all the Howdy Inc stuff, but we're doing it for free now.
Yeah, that was why I was always classified as the CFO, because it was my job to fund it all.
Yeah. Now we're using
us.
free ways of doing things.
Nice.
You guys had to open up a GoFundMe. Was that even a thing then?
No.
There wasn't even the internet back then.
Oh, yes, there was.
We recorded it on tapes and passed them out. Yeah. Right on. Well,
In
thanks
line.
for stopping by, Liz.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it. That's our first episode. What do you think, man?
It was awesome.
It was awesome. That was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing this every week. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was. And the cool thing is, all the post-production stuff, like putting all these files that we're making and putting them all together, Lane's going to do. So it used to be back in the old Howdy Inc days, I had to do everything, basically. I always did all of the editing, all of the computer work, all of the everything. And so now, since it's mine and Lane's show together, that means he has to do part of the work, which, of course, he likes to do. So, but it's awesome because now I don't have to do it. So I've got all these files, and the next time I hear it, it'll be an actual show.
Yep.
Which is not how it has ever been before, but that's really cool. So I'm glad that Lane will be taking those duties away from me. So I think it was awesome. I think we did a really good show. I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to come back next week and new special guests and new topics. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.